Hey everybody, welcome to Get to Know Your Wedding Pro. My name is Reed with Best Made Videos. We are a wedding videography company based out of West Seattle, Washington. And I'm here today with Markie and Tiffany of Wink Wedding Collective. And I want to thank you guys so much for coming in today, taking time early on a Sunday when we could be doing lots of other fun things to come in and talk. And why don't you guys introduce yourselves and tell us who you are and what you guys do?
Oh, okay. Pointing. Apparently, I get to go first. Tiffany likes to throw me under the bus and put me on the stand right away. So, I'm Markie. I am one of the two lead photographers at Wink Wedding Collective. I also happen to own my own business, Markie Jones Photography, as well as I shoot boudoir when I'm not shooting weddings for Give Me a Wink Boudoir.
I love that name.
Right? It kind of all flowed in together when we came up with Wink Wedding Collective, and I was like, hey, this is cool. I can do this. So, oh my gosh. About me? I didn't rehearse any of this, so I have absolutely no idea what I'm going to talk about. I am currently engaged. I get married on October 31st, which is Halloween wedding, so I'm definitely not wearing white. I'm wearing as dark as I can go. And I have two kids, 8 and 4, and two very large dogs. My small, average-sized pit bull turned out to be 75 pounds and taller than my chocolate lab. So that's me.
And I'm Tiffany. So the other half of Wink. I am the enforcer, essentially. Markie's the creative. I'm the enforcer. And my other photography business outside of shooting weddings with Wink is Sachem Photography, named after 5 of my 6 kids. I have 5 girls and 1 boy. So my kids, Sam, Elena, Shaylin, Eliza, and Madison, their initials together created the word Sachem. So that's where I started. And basically, mom of 6, wedding photographer.
That's awesome.
Yeah, just, insanely busy.
Yeah, right. I couldn't imagine. I was working with a photography team on Friday, and they had 2 kids, and I couldn't imagine because we have no kids, so I couldn't imagine having any kids, let alone 6. That's busy.
Again, the enforcer.
Yes. Awesome. Well, thank you guys for coming in. Why don't you tell us kind of what got you guys into photography? Maybe we'll start with Tiffany and just kind of where that started, and then we'll move on from there.
So my photography journey, as they like to say, started because of those 6 kids and hideous school pictures. I thought after getting our kids' school pictures back one year, I'm like, I just spent a lot of money and these are terrible. So I bought a camera and decided I was going to teach myself how to take pictures of my kids. And I started taking pictures of my kids, and after a year or so, people started offering me money, which I could not believe. I was like, what, you want to pay me for this? Oh, wow. Okay. Well, this is interesting. So that led to getting a business license and, upgrading gear and lots of education. And after a couple more years, somebody said, will you shoot my wedding? And I was overeager and uneducated and had no idea what that entailed. But like all things in my life, I do nothing halfway. And I said, of course I can.
She's not joking. She does nothing halfway.
Nothing halfway. And I jumped in with both feet and I learned on the go and figured it out, which I don't recommend. But somehow things always seem to work out. And after a couple years of weddings, I met up with Markie. So she was actually our family photographer. I met her. I picked her because she had pink hair at the time. That is how we met.
It's not pink anymore.
Took pictures of our kids, and I needed somebody who was a dedicated second shooter for all the weddings that I had planned the following year. And we joined forces.
And what about you, Markie? How did you get into photography?
Oh, my story's a little more involved than that, which is kind of surprising since that was a really long explanation there, Tiffany.
Right.
I didn't want anything to do with photography. Growing up, I was not artsy at all. I really it wasn't my thing. My mom was the super creative person, and I was just like, nope, I'm going to go into medicine. Well, I went from being a straight A student in high school, graduating with honors and all of those fancy cords they used to give us. I don't know if they do that anymore. But I went to college. And in the first quarter, I had a D- average. So my mom's bright idea was that she was going to go through the college course catalog and she was going to find me a way to bring my grade up. So she puts me in a photography class because she just so happened to have a Pentax K1000 that still worked from 1970 something. And that's what we needed for this college course. Well, I still barely graduated college. However, it was because I was spending all of my time in the darkroom editing photos and doing this was all by hand too. So this was super involved with the trying to burn and dodge and fancy stuff. So I still barely graduated, but I ended up with a degree in fine art film. And from there, my ex-husband actually offered me up as a sports photographer, which I had no idea what I was doing. He hands me a Canon Rebel XT, which was 4 megapixels was what I had. Ooh. And, the nice kit, 70 to 300 or whatever. And I shot sports photography for a Pop Warner football team for 2 years with that camera before somebody decided, we want you to shoot our family Christmas photos. And it was just from there, I was like, oh, yeah, sure, I can do that. That was I look at that session and I still go, I can't believe they paid me. It was only $35, but oh my gosh, it wasn't worth it. So when I got divorced, I decided that I was really going to make this a thing. And it kind of became my side hobby. So eventually it got to the point where I'm like, oh, no, this is kind of going to end up being a full-time gig for me. And so right now I'm phasing out. I'm usually a mechanical engineer 9 to 5, but I'm phasing that out to go into full-time photography. So, and I just kind of ended up here. That's how it happened. It just kind of one thing after another. I just ended up here. I got handed a camera 14 years ago.
And here we are today.
And here we are.
That's awesome. And then, Tiffany, you had said that you also have another family business.
We do. Yes. We own a business called Remflex. My dad invented a product, an automotive exhaust gasket about 20 years ago. And they say they're retired, but they're not really. Go away.
They won't hear this.
So yeah, they're trying to phase out. My husband and I are taking that over. So I spend a lot of time, doing taxes and payroll and administering health insurance and non-creative things.
And then obviously having Wink is a great outlet for the creativity.
It is. And but all of those small business skills that I had that I acquired before I started becoming a photographer, I think that's kind of what's made the difference for me in terms of, actually making money. Because the small business side of being a photographer definitely cannot be overlooked, the importance of that.
Yeah, I think that's true. I mean, I joke with Dorothy, my wife, a lot that when the robots take over and edit video or whatever, this, the tangible skills of running a business, I think will always apply to various different fields. I joked about I'll just start a moving company or something and just
absolutely kind of universal.
Yeah, just
understanding how to find a client and market to them and meet their needs and pay your bills and your taxes. I mean, those things are kind of universal. So
the taxes.
So then how did you guys come together? You said that you needed someone to do photos for your family.
Yes, a big family. So I was specifically looking for somebody who was good at wrangling children. Because, as I said, I have 6 of them. And I found Markie online.
Yeah, I had actually just shot a Viking wedding, of all things, with, I think there were 8 groomsmen and 8 bridesmaids. And the drinking started at 6 a.m. when everybody got up. And the flashing photos ended the reception. So there was that. But, excuse me. Yeah, so we, when she was looking for somebody good at wrangling kids, one of the photographers that had worked with me for this Viking wedding, which was just, it was kind of scary when you have 8 very huge Viking men that, we're talking muscles the size of my head. But I apparently somehow managed to wrangle that entire wedding, and they still tell me they loved me. So I obviously did something right.
Yeah, I figured if you can handle Vikings, you can handle my 6 kids.
Yes. Her 6 kids were much easier. Yeah,
So very random. Yeah, I had posted in a photography forum that I was looking,
yeah.
looking for a photographer of my own, and people kind of threw their names in the hat, and I looked everybody over and went with Markie, and that's how we met.
And you had said, so you were doing photography kind of on your own,
Yes.
needing a dedicated second.
Yes.
And I do think that that's because I think photographers do it one of 2 ways, right? Either you find somebody new, a new second each time, or work with kind of a collective of people, collection of people, or else then you find somebody and kind of partner together, right?
Yes. I think that's, for me and my personality, I'm a planner. I really like knowing ahead of time who I'm working with, what their style is, whether I can depend on getting good images from them, how we're going to work together.
She's such a planner that she doesn't actually trust my workflow. So I have an all automated workflow for brides that everything goes out at a specific time leading up to the wedding. And she's over here going 3 days before the email goes out. Did you send this email? I'm like, no, Tiffany, you're too soon.
Never too soon.
So then when you guys joined forces, let's say it's like an Avengers meetup, right? Is that when you guys kind of started either Wink or was that kind of an idea or how did that come about?
We shot for 1 season. We did 1 season of just back and forth where I was her second whenever she booked weddings as the primary. And she was my second when I booked weddings as the primary under our individual businesses. And at the end of that year, we said, this is working really well. And we were talking one evening. I remember I was sitting on the couch and we were talking one evening and we were talking about how we would love to have a collective, an idea of not just each other that we like to work with, but DJs, florists, cake bakers, officiants, people we've worked with that we trust. So that when our couples come to us and say, hey, I need a recommendation for fill in the blank, we can say, with a lot of assurance, these are good vendors. These are quality vendors. We trust them. We've worked with them. We know they're going to show up the day of. And that's pretty much what our goal has been, is basically to network with vendors, quality vendors that you can trust so we can give out those names and feel good about them.
And so when did kind of Wink kind of come into existence?
Essentially on our 1 year wedding shooting together anniversary, however you'd say that. So she actually, during the family session that I shot for her, she comments that she has this vintage Halloween wedding coming up on October 27th of that year. And she's telling me about all of the decor and everything else. And so I'm literally going, wait, can I come shoot with you? And so I was the 3rd photographer on that wedding because her older daughter was shooting with her for it. Mm-hmm. So it was basically one of those, it was essentially a trial. And then it kind of evolved from there. But it was right around October of the following year that we went, hey, yeah, let's do this. We came up with, we kept trying to figure out that name, picking that name that was like perfect because it's kind of easy when you do it for your own business. But when you're doing it for multiple businesses together, you're kind of going, oh,
and we wanted something playful. Like we thought of the tagline. We wanted romantic photography for fun couples. That's who we want to service. We like the blue-haired, the tattooed, the people who are creative, either by choice or by hobby, by craft. People who are
indie artisans.
Yes,
we like the indie artisans.
That's people who are also self-employed. People who understand and kind of step outside of the box. That's who we really like to work with. So we were thinking, we want a word that is sort of playful and sort of fun, but also, wedding related or, something like that. And so we were just tossing out words. And I had said, well, what about Wink? Wink weddings. And Markie's instantly said, I love it. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
And then, of course, upon research, we found that there is already a Wink Weddings. They're on the other side of the country. And so it was like, well, that doesn't work. So we ended up with Wink Wedding Collective because we were like, well, we can add more vendors.
We want to add vendors. We want to be a full service.
That here, we have everything you need. You just pick your people type of thing.
And how many years ago is that now?
2.
Was it 2?
It was 2. Because for some reason, we've kind of become Halloween wedding pros. We've shot a wedding on Halloween or just days before Halloween. That is Halloween themed.
That's true.
A
It's
couple
October,
years,
isn't it?
It is October. So we are coming up on that anniversary again. So it's been 2 years.
Yes.
That's awesome. It's funny. I've only had one Halloween wedding in my time, but it was awesome. And it was like, we got it on like Offbeat Bride or whatever, just because
Right.
most of the time our weddings are pretty like just, good standard. Like it's just different. It was like, she had a black dress and it was like, they had like skulls and stuff. I mean, it was really cool.
Yeah,
I mean, she spent like a whole day and a half decorating. It was awesome.
Oh my gosh, that's wonderful. Yeah, I said that's our goal, and we're currently looking for that 2019 Halloween wedding.
Yes,
They're that 2018, right?
Yeah, our favorite.
Come on, guys.
Yeah.
They are our favorite. We've had Victorian Gothic Halloween.
Yes.
We've done the very first one we worked together.
Was
Everything was
vintage
1930s. So they had flickering black and white, monster movies, and it was very cool.
Yeah, and then we have mine on this.
Yep, and we have yours this year.
October 31st. So, and I'm not sure how it's going to end up. Let's be honest. From the bride's perspective, at this point, we're all going, oh my gosh.
Let's just get it done.
3 weeks. Ah.
And where is the wedding happening at?
So actually, our wedding is a little bit different. We're getting married in the middle of Main Street, Sumner, because every year Sumner does Sumner Street of Treats. And it's one of our favorite things to go and take the kids down to and everything else. But they close the street down at 3:30. So my soon-to-be sister-in-law is actually on Sumner City Council. And she went to the city council and she said, do we need a permit to get married in the middle of Main Street, like inside the intersection? And they basically went, well, when we close the street down, it becomes a public park. So the city of Sumner doesn't require any sort of permit for that. So please, by all means, go ahead. However, can we all come? Because this sounds like a really cool idea. So we're essentially doing flash mob style in the middle of Sumner. And then we've rented the McMillan Grange over in Puyallup for the reception, which I'm pretty sure is super haunted. So I'm all excited about this. If you're into the woo-woo stuff, please come talk to me. I love the woo-woo stuff. My mom thinks I'm insane, but then she also thinks I'm a witch. So, I don't know. Not sure what to believe there. But so I'm super excited because I'm pretty convinced it's haunted.
That's awesome.
It's going to be fun. If Tiffany has any technological issues that day,
I'm
just
totally
confirms
blaming it on spirits.
Totally. So kind of been getting ready for this wedding and like having gone, obviously shot tons of weddings now, like does that affect? And then I want to talk about, Tiffany, about you being married too. Cause I just think like, with, vendors being married or not, or going through the process or being engaged, like all that, really reflects. Like I've always said, I'm a much better wedding vendor now, having been married than I was, cause like you're there and you're like, oh, this is like emotional, but you're not until you go through it, right? Or experience it. And so having like, what's your thoughts going into this now?
Yeah. So this is actually my second marriage. Yeah. My first wedding, we had 12 weeks to plan. It was literally like get engaged, 12 weeks, move to California. So I really I didn't have any planning with that. So before this, I was kind of like, now that I've taken an entire year to actually plan a wedding, it's a totally different ball game. Like all of the stuff that you have to think about and all of the details that go into planning and into designing your decor and getting your food. And it's all very, very personal to the bride and groom. And so it's kind of like one of the things that we really like about Wink is we kind of try to get in on the game with brides and grooms at the very beginning of their planning process, due to the fact that we have no problem if a bride is going, hey, I have these ideas. Can we bounce them off of you? Because it's really easy for us to go, okay, yeah, this is a great idea, but something else might not be the best photo-wise. So, and that was one of the things that trying to plan a wedding as a photographer, I'm kind of sitting here going, how is this going to photograph? Like, how do I want to do metallic pumpkins, or do I really want like these random flashes all over the place? So it's kind of given a whole new, like, I guess, appreciation for those couples who sit there and they do all of the real detail planning and kind of.
I love those couples.
Yeah.
They're my favorite.
They and they're really very specific about what they're doing and everything else versus when I got married back in 2007 and I just kind of went, I really don't care, just throw something on the table. And our decor in 2007 was, I think, maybe a table runner and a jar of flowers. So it's actually been really helpful. It gives more of an appreciation. And one of the things that you'll notice is when Tiffany and I are shooting, Tiffany tends to spend a lot of time in like the prep area where the bride is getting ready and everything else. I'm out there like photographing your individual decor. Like if you had something that was super, super special to you, that you really took the time to, this is what I want, I'm right there. And I may actually be sitting there, you know, moving things around and moving pieces out and putting pieces in because that's what I'm like, that's the part that with planning my own wedding, I'm like, those are the really important parts to me because I put so much thought into the decor. And so it's kind of one of those where you can kind of tell when you're getting to know clients, like who's gonna really be set on the decor and who's more like, I don't really care about my decor at all. I want you to photograph all the people. So it's definitely a whole new
I'm the faces.
appreciation.
You're the details.
She is the faces, except during couples portraits. Then I'm the one that's right there in your face. So
Markie tends to be a little less intimidating than I am. I'm almost 6 feet tall. So, you know, having a 6 foot tall photographer who's sort of in your personal space sometimes can be intimidating to people. And so I try to let Markie, we kind of have this nice balance and flow when we're doing really intimate work. I'll put on a zoom lens and I'll stand back so I'm not so abruptly in people's personal space. Whereas Markie, who's just physically a smaller person and also a more soft-spoken person, is not so intrusive in that process of romantic couples portraiture.
and I have really good jokes.
She thinks she has good jokes. She's
That's right. They're terrible jokes. Let's
She has
be honest.
dad jokes.
I do have dad jokes, but I think my favorite is the fact that I've learned if you can make your couples laugh,
Absolutely.
they are so much more comfortable with you. So I will literally, if I'm photographing your wedding, I will get right up next to your face and I will say, okay, you guys are gonna make out now, and I'm just gonna stay here like a creeper and photograph you. And there is not a single person who can keep a straight face when you're telling them that you're going to be a creeper right there. So it always makes them laugh and they loosen up. And I'm like, it's super awkward, but the photos that come back, those are some of the bride's favorites usually.
My favorite joke when you're doing like the larger family photo, you know, like both sides, mom and dad and whatever, and you say like, all right, this is the most expensive Christmas card you'll ever take.
Exactly.
And it always gets a laugh. And I always tell the photographer, you can take that one and use it next time because it always gets a laugh.
That's a great joke.
I do think, just to finish, I did have a thought about talking about decor and stuff. Like, I do think it's like so important to like talk to your vendors about like what is important, or like if you're doing the dance or like your centerpieces or whatever. Like there's so many times, because like I have like questionnaires and stuff too where I'm asking like,
Absolutely.
let me know. And then it'll be like wedding day and they're like, hey, so we're going to do this like really special first dance. And we've spent like 6 months like practicing, and you're like, would have been awesome to know, or like they don't even tell you, and then like it goes, and
Right,
you're like,
and all of a sudden the flash dance music or something starts, and you're like, what is going on? There's choreography.
Yeah, and it's like
Right.
just tell, like, talk to, you know, and like ask like what is gonna photograph well, what is gonna video, like what is gonna look good, you know, because most of the time with the couples they don't know, you know, it's the first time they're doing this, and like, you know, you guys are worthy experts, and like, you know, ask people what's going on.
Well, and you send these detailed questionnaires. I mean, we have several of them. We send them several times. You know, we're essentially begging you for information. The more you can tell us about yourself, what you like, how you describe your style, let us know. That's why we like to get in with our couples early. You know, we want to know What are you struggling with? What are you excited about? It really just kind of helps us solidify who you are as people, because we want to photograph whatever's really important to you. And you can't always get that with a questionnaire. Like that face-to-face is super important. Those conversations on the phone, the engagement photos, so important. People want to skip them, or they say, well, if we take that out, is the package less? It's not. It's complimentary. It's included, and it's included for their benefit, because we really want to see, your body movements and your chemistry together. And, when we say, okay, give that woman you love a kiss, and you lean over, do you just give her a peck on the cheek real quick because you're sort of nervous about that? Or, do you really grab her and lay a good kiss on her?
I don't let you get away with the peck on the cheek.
Yeah, we'll call you out on that one.
I will call you out on that so fast. I will be like, this isn't your mother.
Right.
Come on, let's get in there. My favorite line is during the family portraits, because you always have that one family member who just, for whatever reason, they seem like they're just pissed.
They're
about
so miserable.
Everything. And I said, I have literally at multiple weddings gone, this is not a funeral, guys. Nobody has died yet. We need to start smile.
We have to smile.
And usually
enjoy the process.
Yeah, calling them out on it, they usually go, it's like, oh no, now she's got her eye on me.
And we'll tell them if they're really awkward, they lean over, give each other kind of this crazy little peck. I'm like, wait, you guys have seen each other naked, right? And they're like, yes. I'm like, okay, let's act like we've seen each other naked. It's fine. You're getting married.
Go for it.
But, these are things we want to know ahead of time. We want to know how you react to having a camera right in your face and what's important to you. And
we can promise that you can tell me you are the biggest awkward taco out there, and I can guarantee you I can out awkward taco you. Okay. No, if you haven't seen my fiance and I together, we can out awkward taco you. All right. But every single couple tells me, we're so awkward in front of the camera and everything else. And
we don't photograph well.
When you get in there and you get to doing everything, you're not going to feel it. It's not going to feel as awkward as you think it's going to. I think it's the whole expectation that you're going to feel awkward.
Well, and I do think people, when they're like, I don't photograph well, it's like, well, yeah, because you've got you just haven't had a good photographer that you're comfortable with doing that, having your dad try to take a cell phone photo of you or whatever versus having you guys.
Or your selfie up above your head.
Yeah. It's like you guys they just haven't had a good photo, or, it should be fun. It should be fun on the wedding day. So Tiffany, I want to finish up talking this thought about your wedding and kind of how being married and kind of that works and kind of affects how you approach couples and the process and all that.
Well, I have a unique perspective in that I am also married twice. I'm on my second marriage. The first time I was married, I was 19, so I was a very young bride. And so I still distinctly remember the things that were important to me at 19 as a teenager, essentially getting married, are vastly different than the things that were important to me as a 37-year-old getting married. And so I really try to keep in mind, with my younger couples, that the things that are really important to them and truly important to them are different oftentimes than the things that are truly important to our couples who are in their 30s or 40s, 50s. Married, last year we did an awesome wedding. I did an awesome wedding for a couple in their 60s. And the things that they value and prioritize are different. Not better, not worse, just different. And I think, we have kind of hindsight, which is awesome, and to draw on that experience. So for me personally, when I was married again at 38, we had a very intimate, small wedding. We were on the side of Mount Rainier and a little bed and breakfast there. It was just our family and our very closest friends. We probably had less than 50 guests total. And we did it in a little bed and breakfast. And just for me at that time in my life, focusing on, I'm getting married to this person that I love, and we have our kids and we have our family. And that's what's important to me. And I just really try to approach each wedding individually and look at who this couple is and what is important to them, because it really doesn't matter what's important to me. And, you know, if I'm saying, hey, I really want to get these getting ready photos for you, but they don't care, it has no value to them, then I'm not really servicing them. So I think there is a big difference, again, between what's important to you in your 20s, what's important to you in your 50s, and getting to know those couples and really focusing on who they are as individual people, so that we can really get in there, have fun, make it special. But I absolutely love getting that feedback when we get that email that was like, you remembered about my dad's Air Force ring, and you captured that picture. Like, that means so much to me. Or, you know, I absolutely love the fact that you guys got different angles of our choreographed dance, because that was what was important to them. So I guess just having done it twice at two very different times in my life has given me, you know, a nice, unique perspective.
No, I think it's awesome. And I think it is like really different working with the different ages and different couples and things. Cause like, I'll even show like Dorothy stuff and she'll be like, oh, why did they do? I'm like, well, that's what, like, that they wanted that. Like, it doesn't matter, right. Like to you, or, you know, that maybe they'll like this thing better or be uncomfortable about something else. It's like, it's ages and people and different. It's all
like, you know, our more mature couples, when they get married, really very rarely do like a garter toss and a bouquet toss, because everyone they know is married. Right. They're going to have their 4 nieces that are under the age of 16 out there to catch a bouquet. You know, it changes the dynamic of weddings.
Yes.
And I think, you know, just being aware of that, being sensitive to it, and figuring out ways to still tell their whole love story without falling back on, you know, sort of all of the traditional elements that, you know, might not be there.
Yeah. And like, cause like you said, like maybe you're like I love like doing detail stuff, and like maybe the couple doesn't, like you said, like doesn't care, or it's just not as important, or they don't want, like I had a bride call me to book, and she was like, can I ask you something? And I was like, yeah, what's up? And she's like, what is like hanging the dress in the window? Like, what is that? Right. And I was like, well, you know, traditionally people, you know, like to at least have some details captured, and that is an easy way to do it. Is, you know, she's like, yeah, I don't want that. I was like, perfect. That doesn't matter to me. She's like, I want to see people like dancing at my reception. And It's like, there you go. Then we'll do that. So in working with the couples, do you guys really like having that really extended kind of getting to know you process? And I mean, is that something you always strive for? Is that something you've kind of grown into, like, this is how we work best with couples?
I think it's always the goal, but 2018 was a very unique year for us. We had people booking weddings 30 days, 60 days out from their wedding. They were calling us.
The shortest was 3 days in advance.
3 days in advance. I don't know. I don't know if it was just us. I think we've talked to other, you know, friends who are photographers and vendors of various types, and they were having the same thing. Lots of people sort of doing really short engagements this year, and lots of people, for whatever reason, waiting a really long time to book their vendors. So we did not have as much time as we like. You know, we always kind of talk about ideals. For us, the ideal would be a year in advance. I mean, if you can book us now for 2019, book us now for 2020, let's get to know each other. Let's do an engagement session. Let's get together and, you know, do a great save the date image or a Christmas image, or get together with Markie and do some boudoir photos beforehand. The more we get to know you, I feel like the better job we do for you.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And I said, and it's always been one of my things that I really... Honestly, I hate that professional relationship where everything ends at professional. Like, I want you to feel like you can reach out to me. Granted, if you're texting me at 3 a.m., I'm sleeping. I promise you. I go to bed at like 8 o'clock on Saturday night. I'm 32 and I feel like I'm 60. Okay. But I always want, like, I want my couples to be able to reach out. We actually run a Tacoma wedding planning group, and I'm trying to be more visible there. Like, we try to go live every so often and stuff, but we want to get to know you just as much as you guys know us, because like, I can tell you my whole life story. I can tell you all about my husband and his weird idiosyncrasies and whatever. But like, if I don't know those things about you, and your fiance and future husband has some weird tick that if I say enchilada, he's going to twitch to the left. Like, if I don't know that, I can't. I mean, that doesn't mean that I want to know all your dirty laundry. Okay.
I kind of do. I'm nosy. I admit it.
She is nosy.
I like to know all the details.
She loves details.
I do.
And I'm like,
I
I'm
love
over
hearing
here. I'm
people's
like,
stories. I want to hear the good stuff.
the good stuff is always good. But I'm over here like, I didn't need to know that he only wears black boxers. That's not important. I mean, unless they're embroidered with groom on the butt or something and you want a photo of it, that's a different story. But it's just kind of always been the goal that I want to have more of a, like, I want you to feel like I'm your friend. Like, you can call me and say, hey, I'm having a real issue with my future mother-in-law. She wants to do this, this, and this. I don't really want to do it. What are your thoughts? And I can tell you, I have dealt with both ends of the spectrum, mother-in-law wise. So I said my mother-in-laws right now are amazing. My last one was, we didn't get along so well. So I can kind of, go through and chat back and forth with you. If you just need somebody to listen and, not give their opinion, I can listen and not give my opinion. But if you really want some ideas, like, hey, how can I incorporate this where it's not going to become a main thing? So, but if you don't let us get to know you, we can't, it's really hard to give suggestions. So if you like, the bride never ever says anything to us and just fills out the questionnaires and we go, we're losing light right now, but you really wanted this specific shot. It's possible that I'm not the most eloquent. I mean, you can tell I stumble over everything and my thought process just kind of, I have ADHD when it comes to talking. So my thought process jumps all over. But so I'm not always the most eloquent. So I may not come across as kind and gentle as I want to, going, hey, look, we're losing light. If you want to do your exit photos right now would be the best time. And it might come across as, oh my gosh, you have to do this right now. Like, we are on a time schedule. But
yeah, I'm the timekeeper typically.
She is.
I'm the time watcher.
She's always she's like, we have 20 minutes.
Yeah. I'm the one with the Apple Watch that I got specifically so that I can have our shot list completely on it and I can flick through and I can make sure we never miss anything. And we've got all the details and we're on time and we're like 7 minutes off. You realize that we're 7 minutes off schedule?
Oh, yes. But
I like a schedule.
Right. But without getting to know our couples, we don't know who's going to be more, oh yeah, everything has to be right on time, and who's going to be more, I don't care as long as in the end I'm married and I get to go on my Hawaiian honeymoon. So I said, that's kind of it.
You build a relationship. If you can. If you have the time, if your personalities mesh well, I think, for me personally, somebody asked, what 3 things would you look for today in a wedding photographer? And price for me was the very bottom of the list. What I'm looking for is experience. I'm looking at their style, and then I'm looking at their personality. Top 3. So I want somebody who knows. I want somebody who knows what they're doing. First of all, if I'm going to invest this kind of money, I want somebody who's shot enough weddings. That I'm comfortable that you have the skills to do the job. And then I'm going to look at your personal style because that's very subjective. And then I'm going to look at your personality. And that's what I want for my couples. I want them to get to know us and our personality. And, do you like who we are? Because we want to like who you are. I think the very best part about being self-employed is that you get to pick who you work with. So, it goes both ways. They're not only hiring us, but we're deciding who we want to work with. And people need to realize, if we say we're not a good fit, it's nothing personal, but we're really just not a good fit. We're not going to do a good job for you. And you're not going to be happy with that. And that doesn't do anybody any good. So, yeah. Some people are very nervous about that. I see that a lot in Facebook groups and forums. And I really don't think I'm good for this person. Now, what do I do? And my answer is always, be honest. Be honest. Don't lie and say the day is booked or something else came up. Just say, I'm not the one for you. Because we want people who like us and we want to like them.
Well, and that's one of the really nice things about working as a partnership is because there are people who will get along with Tiffany just fine that I'm sitting over there going, not going to happen. Nope, not my thing. And then there are people that will get along with me that think I'm great, that Tiffany, she's just like, I don't know if this is for me, but working as a partnership, we do have other photographers that we can pull from. So we always have that option to be able to go, hey, look, you know what? These are really your people, Tiffany.
Yeah.
You go ahead and take this one and I'll go take this one over here. So I said, that's one of the things like you'll never see on our website. There's never a list of dates that were already booked because we have that option. So if somebody comes to us and they're like, well, we really love your work. Are you available on this day? We can always split up and go 2 separate directions.
We have a network of,
yes,
I guess, third shooters at this point, but second shooters that we like to work with, professionals.
Yes. And we're just as selective with who we work with as we are like who you want to hire. Like you are who you want to hire. And so, I mean, every other person that we might possibly bring to your wedding meshes really well with us. Like we could literally bring these extra people and you'd never know we had extra people.
I always laugh because my wife's really good at like keeping relationships with people, even if like, oh, I don't like this person anymore. Or like she has friends. And I'm like, I always tell her like the best thing about like not being in elementary school anymore is like you can choose who you want to work with, who you want to be with. And I'm like, it's just because she'll like have these friends. And I'm like, we're not in 8th grade anymore. You should want everybody around you that you get along with and that is a positive. And that includes your wedding day, right? Like you want everybody there to like add. And I do feel that like with, weddings where either, like we help them, pick or, hey, do you have a recommend? Or if it just ends up that it's people like, oh, I've worked with these people before. Like it is like so much more fun, for everybody. Right.
Everyone.
And that like, it's better for you guys and that relates better, for the couple and like, they'll be like, everybody just got along and knew it wasn't even like you guys were working, right? It was like, we were all here kind of to celebrate.
I think so. It's that celebratory sort of atmosphere, which is what you want for your wedding. Even if it's a really solemn sort of ceremony. I mean, some people, marriage is very serious, and we do have weddings that are very traditional and very solemn. And then you get to the reception and people kind of start letting their hair down. And you want your vendors to be as excited about your wedding as you are excited about your wedding. Because if they're not excited, they're not doing their best work. And that's why we want that relationship. We want to, I want to feel that little tear when you guys are giving each other, your vows and stuff. I love it.
Don't joke. I cry at every wedding.
She cries at every wedding.
I am such a sucker. Like
she is.
Every wedding, I'm like, oh my gosh, don't worry about me. The roof is leaking. It's fine. But every single wedding, I don't think there's been a wedding that I haven't cried at. Which is really funny because if you ask my ex-husband and even my current fiance, I don't have feelings. So
all business.
I'm all business. I have no feelings, yet I cry at every wedding. So
well, even like I was, Joe had shot a wedding, and I was editing it yesterday. Like I wasn't even there, and I'm just like editing her vows, and I'm like, you're like, this is really, I mean, I can't help it either. But when you're sitting there in the music and she's looking at him and and you just, it is. I mean, it's so like I wasn't even there. So it's that's
the good stuff in life.
Yes.
Which I think is what I like about being a photographer. I mean, every now and then, on a rare occasion, you'll photograph something that's sad or that's hard to document that for somebody. But for the most part, our job is about celebrating life. It's about marriage. It's about babies. It's about graduating from high school. It's about couples and families and their new dog or, whatever it is that's good. Because those are the things we document. So, it's a pretty kick-ass kind of job.
Yeah. I remember the first wedding I had done was a Craigslist, last minute thing. And I had no idea what I was doing, except I knew how to do, obviously video. And Dorothy, I think I called her during the reception. She's like, oh, how's it going? And I said, Well, it's really nice because I said, like, when I used to work in TV and like nobody would want you there because it was like, a death or an accident or a fire or a theft or whatever.
Right.
And I was like, it's so nice to feel like wanted here and that everybody is happy to see, at a wedding, everybody wants their photo taken for the most part. But, like, oh, come over here and do this and do that.
Right.
And like, it feels really good to feel wanted to be there, right? I mean, do you guys do you feel that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a fun job. And I think that for the most part, with very, very few exceptions, all of the weddings we've shot, I mean, people just really appreciate that you're there.
Yeah.
They understand that you're there to do a job. We've had very few issues in general.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had great couples and they've had great families and, funny, entertaining friends, and they're really kind to us.
Yeah.
And it's a good feeling. It's the kind of job where you're providing a service that people really appreciate. So
well, and I said
it always feels good.
I've been doing this. I actually got my business license back in like 2010, and so I've been doing this for almost 10 years, and I can only think of maybe 2 weddings that I have ever. And one of them was Tiffany took me to a Catholic wedding, of all things, with my blue hair, my very visible tattoos. And even though I'm sitting there trying to look like I had my hair all pulled up so you couldn't really see the blue, and I had long sleeves so you couldn't see any of my tattoos, and I'm standing there and I just oozed uncomfortableness, obviously, because the mother of the bride kind of walked in and she kind of took one look at me and she's like, "Who are you?" And I'm going, "I have a camera in my hand. I'm the photographer." And she's like, "Oh." And I was just going, okay. And so I ended up going out with the groom's family, which the groom's family thought I was great, but it was just one of those situations where I'm like, that's why you need to get to know your vendors. And the best thing is, like, if we are bringing a second shooter to your wedding that's not Tiffany or I, we will tell you who they are. Like, so you can go and you can kind of look at who is coming to your wedding, and you can get to know them through that stuff too, because I said that was one that I had no idea. I'd never met the bride and groom before. I didn't know anything about them. They didn't know me. So it was just a very awkward situation. And that is proof why you need to know your vendors.
Yes, they knew me, but
yes, they knew Tiffany. They knew her really well, but but me walking in there.
Mom had hired me. But it was one of those situations where photography was important to Mom and not important to the bride and groom. It just wasn't. We were there because Mom insisted that they had a photographer. So I was essentially working for the mom. And so that's kind of how I approached it.
And I was there because Tiffany doesn't drive in Seattle.
No. Not if I don't have to. I'm a mountain girl. I'm a country girl.
But I think, like, even in 10 years, like that, and then I've had a run-in with a videographer. But that was it.
Not me.
It was not Reed. No, I will tell you, it was definitely not Reed. I honestly can't even tell you who it was, because they weren't actually a wedding videographer. So it was one of those situations. But like, that's 2 weddings out of, I've been doing this for 10 years. Like 100 weddings or something like that. I would have to actually go count it up because I lost track a while ago. But so 2 out of 10 years is not bad.
Yeah, and I've only had a handful.
Yeah.
But again, being nearly 6 feet tall.
Right.
People kind of go
intimidated or intimidating.
Never mind. We're good. I'm like, "So you're going to stand and smile?" And they're like, "Yes, I'm going to stand and smile."
I'm small, but I'm definitely not a pushover.
Talk about, what do you guys do when you're not photographing weddings? Obviously, running a business with your family and things. But tell us, I just give me a little more about like what makes you guys tick. What are your kind of hobbies and interests and things?
Oh, hobbies and interests. My couch would be a really good hobby. Actually, I have 2 kids and a fiance, soon to be husband, and we tend to we try to do things as a family. He is actually in recovery. He's 6 years sober. So a lot of our time is spent going to our meetings and that sort of thing. And said, our kids, my older daughter goes back and forth to her dad's. So we the scheduling is fun. That's for sure. But like the kids love to swim. We go swimming every week as a family. Oh my gosh. I spend a lot of time like editing and watching Scrubs. So I love Scrubs. I think I'm on the 5th time I've watched the entire, like however many seasons there are. I don't even know. It just kind of Hulu goes from one episode to another. So I'm good. But yeah, we like to camp. It's
You
my
travel
life.
a bit with the kids too.
I do travel a bit. We are big Disney fanatics. So my family
Once a year.
Pretty much. I grew up with my dad who his email signature is a Walt Disney quote. It all started with a mouse. And said, so growing up, we did. Once a year, we went to Disneyland. I can't say that I've ever been to Disney World. If I have, I don't remember it because I was too young. But Disneyland, we've gone every year. Big Disney fanatics. We go down for about a week. And by the way, Disneyland is best during the holidays. Just saying. I'm sure I just totally like ruined travel season for my family because it's going to get really busy now.
Yeah, we don't travel. We have 6 kids. Nobody takes 6 children anywhere.
They don't even take one car anywhere.
Yeah. Exactly.
But yeah, so we try to go to Disneyland every year, and we do a lot of other traveling too. My grandma likes to follow the horseshoe tournaments up and down the West Coast. So we've gotten a lot of, hey, we're going camping in Newport, Oregon. You want to come with? And it's like, well, do I get out of, because I work for my dad 9 to 5, and that's the mechanical engineering job I'm trying to kind of phase out. So, of course, if I go camping with him, then I don't have to actually work. So it's a bonus.
Fantastic. But gardening, you're big into gardening.
Oh yeah, gardening. I finally started gardening this year, and then I'm big into the sustainable like living. I buy from a CSA. I try to cook at home most of the time, but that has to do with food allergies and everything else that have shown up recently. Which that's the other thing. We actually had to, so when couples look at our contract, there's in big bold letters.
Oh my gosh.
If you're having shellfish at your wedding, please let us know if you hire us. Because earlier this year,
First
Tiffany,
wedding of the season, somebody hands me an egg roll, which
she has a severe
unwisely
shellfish
just
allergy.
pop that sucker in my mouth, and it's delicious. What's in this? Shrimp? Full on anaphylaxis, getting the EpiPen. There's a nurse at the wedding who saved me.
Yes. I thought for sure I was going to have to take her to the hospital.
That's scary. My brother has very severe food allergies and also has to travel with an EpiPen.
Yeah. That was super fun and a learning process. It goes to show, like, no matter how many years in, there's always something. So now we
I did tell her I would gladly stab her though if it was her life or.
Thanks, friend. I don't know. For me, mom of 6 and doubly self-employed. So we are very busy. When I say busy, I probably work close to 70 hours a week. So, my kids are awesome. They range in age from 5 to 21. We have 2 girls that are currently away at college. Here, very different colleges in the state. And then we have 4 that are at home still. So today is actually my daughter's sweet 16 birthday party. We're heading there when we're done here. And I try to fit in family time as much as possible. Like I said, nobody travels with 6 kids. Somebody once asked me, they were like, how do you guys go to a restaurant? And I just sort of laughed and said, why in the world would you think we go and eat in restaurants? There's 6 of them.
And the smallest one thinks he's a dinosaur.
Yeah.
So.
Or he's wearing a Wookiee costume. He did actually
too,
dress up like Chewbacca the last time we took him out in public. So there was that. But, just a homebody. I'm not a TV watcher, so that thing is almost never on. But I love reading. I like hanging out with my kids. We're super artistic. Whenever we have time, it's always, we're kind of thrift store junkies too. Like I love all things sort of retro and funky and colorful.
It does not matter which thrift shop she walks into. She will walk out with a quilt.
Yeah, I have some sort of weird vintage quilt mojo. So if anybody needs a vintage quilt, I'm your girl. We just kind of, and we collect funky things that sort of appeal to us.
I collect pigs. I'm not sure how funky that is, but
It is weird,
there's like
though.
500 of them in my
know.
house.
So strange.
None of them are alive.
I just try to spend time with the kids as much as possible. Go camping a couple times in the summer. We, live out near Mount Rainier. So lots of the things we do are based around getting outside and enjoying. I mean, we're right next to a national park, which is amazing and awesome. And we have elk and deer and, it's just like a little wonderland out there for my kids, which is super cool. So,
And anytime I go to Eatonville, she's like, look, there's a deer. I'm like, oh, where? She's like, why are you excited? It's just a deer. I'm like, but it's a deer. I'm like the excitable little chihuahua, Yeah. That's essentially my personality.
My grandpa lived in remote Eastern Oregon, and
Okay.
we would go out and just drive and look for wildlife.
I mean, it's everywhere.
But I was like, after the 20th year of going down there, and you're
Exactly.
like-
You can tell when people are driving through town that are not local because they stop to stare at the deer. And they're like forest rodents. They're literally everywhere. You're going to see 20 more before you get to the national park. It's fine. Just keep moving.
Well, where I live, I mean, my parents actually live like 2 doors down from me, which was both the best and worst decision of my life. Having grandkids right next door is great, except when the children decide that, oh, I don't like you anymore, Mom, I'm running away, and then you can't find them because they went to grandma's.
Yeah, they go live at grandma's.
But I always laugh because my dad has this giant, it's a blackberry bush, and there's a family of raccoons that live underneath it. And so people are like, do you keep those as pets? And we're going, no, you can't touch them. Don't touch the trash pandas, okay? They just want to eat the cat food. It's okay.
Yeah, we're definitely country kids. Like my kids are country kids. We have a little blinking 4-way stop in town. That's the only
Finally.
light. We now have
Finally.
a light, and there was all of maybe 6 cars waiting at the 4-way stop, and my kids are like, traffic jam. We are not city kids at all.
No, they're definitely not patient either. They're like, why are there so many cars out here?
Where do all of you people live, and why are your houses so close together? Yeah.
And my kids just want to be farm kids. They're like, can we get chickens, Mom? I'm like, the HOA doesn't allow that.
So you have to live out near me.
I know.
There's no rules. I'm gonna be
There's
like,
no rules.
no rules.
there's no rules.
So moving into like 2019 and 2020 and beyond, what are kind of some of your goals, for Wink and for the business and for photography and weddings, and where do you guys kind of see you progressing here?
I think we've really worked hard this year on pinpointing who our ideal client is.
Yes.
And really, we're working on marketing materials and educational materials for our couples. We really want to get, our face out there in front of our ideal client.
Yep.
And, they're typically a little bit older, little kind of settled, maybe in their early 30s. And again, we really like working with people who are very artistic and fun and kind of, I guess you would say, the non-traditional couples.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely the non-traditional couples.
Yeah.
They,
We like them. They like us. We're a good mix. So really been working on this next year on pinpointing who that ideal client is. How can we, get our product in front of them? How do we meet these people? How do we basically talk to them? Where are they? And then lots of client education as well, just so people understand this is what we do. This is how we do it. Are we a good fit for you? Are you a good fit for us? And I think going forward, it's going to be really, kind of finalizing all the marketing. Right now, of course, we're getting towards the end of the year, so this is when we start looking at money. Being a small business, that's what it is. We start looking at money. What's our advertising budget? I think we definitely want to book more weddings. We're not overloaded. We're not one of those companies that's shooting, every single weekend throughout the year. And so I know
at least
that
at this point.
point.
Last summer, I was gone every weekend.
Yeah.
But it wasn't always
always weddings. So we definitely want to book more weddings. We want to be able to increase that side of our business.
Definitely. And we've realized that I make things way too complicated. I'm trying to put together marketing materials, and I'm like, this is taking me forever. And she's going, well, simplify it. I'm like, what? You made a what?
Simplify. Work smarter, not harder. I'm sure there's
trying to, divide the mechanical engineering from the photography. I'm like, I doing marketing materials. I'm in that analytical brain, and I'm like, I don't understand what I'm doing right now.
I think we probably need to blog more, and that's like a personal goal.
We need to catch up on our blogging.
Yeah. I think blogging is super important. I mean, the social media presence, but also I think with a blog, you can really express your personality and speak directly to that ideal client, that person who is your tribe, essentially. And so I think just as a personal goal, we need to kind of be better about that, which, I guess more hours in the day.
Yeah, right.
We got to figure that out.
For me, it's the fact I absolutely hate to write. And
I love to write. I don't have the time. Finding the time is hard.
But if you give me something that I can edit and I can flourish. Oh, I can flourish to my heart's desire and make things beautiful and eloquent when I'm not talking. But writing and getting those thoughts on paper, I'm just like, oh, this is taxing. I don't want to do this.
I do the structure. Yeah, so that's kind of how we divide and conquer. I do the structure and the details and get everything sort of fleshed out, and then I pass it over.
And I can SEO like a champ.
Yeah.
At this point, I have taken so many SEO courses. I'm like, if I can't do this in my sleep, I'm obviously doing something wrong.
Mad skills.
She looks at things that she's written and I've edited, and she's like, why do you say Tacoma wedding photographer 14 times in this? I'm like, just don't worry about it.
It's fine. I'm like, okay. So I just write it and I hand it over to Markie. So blogging. Yeah, I think that
definitely blogging.
Get all caught up. And, we want people to know who we are.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of this year was spent trying to get workflows down and trying to automate everything, because we finally, I broke down last year and actually got a system. So I'm not constantly right there behind the computer, but that doesn't mean that if somebody reaches out to me, I won't answer. It means that I don't have to sit there and send 3 brides the same email with different details in it. So.
And I was a dinosaur. I was using paper contracts. I'm like,
oh my gosh.
I'm old school. I love to write everything down. It helps me remember. It helps me stay on track. So I like the written. I like something tangible. I like to hold it. And Markie is dragging me into,
kicking and screaming into 2017.
By making me become completely and fully automated. So she got client management software. She forces these things on me. It's basically how this
pretty
happens.
much. She'll send me a message. She'll be like, so are we available on this date? And I'll be like, did you check Dubsado?
No, because that's what I have you for.
And I'm like, log in. I gave you your own login. Just go check.
When we got married 2.5 years ago, I remember our photographer mailed me a contract to sign. And I was like, what is going on?
Oh,
because I until Markie and I teamed up, my rule was that we don't work together unless we meet in person. Mm-hmm. I want to see your face. I want to know who you are. I want to talk to you. So since we were right there, I did paper contracts. Now I still make you meet me, at least Skype or we need to talk somehow, but I will send you an online contract to sign.
And that was my thing when I got divorced, I spent the first 3 years of my divorce. My oldest daughter was she was 14 months old or something like that. But she would Skype her dad because, this was 2010, 2011, somewhere in there. And so she would Skype him every week. And so I got to the point where I'm just like, FaceTime is just as good as making you drive to Tacoma and hang out with me. And I don't want you to come and spend 45 minutes hanging out with me if you're going to find that you really, but if you're going to find that you really don't like me in the end, you can tell that on a Skype chat. Usually you can tell that on the phone. So just seriously email me a picture of you and then call me, because I'll still sit there and talk to you. I just want to be able to see your face. Because that's not creepy at all, right? I'm going to look at this picture on the computer while I talk to you.
I love the face-to-face.
Awkward. Awkward. But I said, so my biggest thing was the fact that it's like people are so, I mean, society is busy just in general. It's busy, busy, busy. And so I try to make sure that we're not wasting a whole bunch of time. Like even our studio's in Tacoma. I live in Bonnie Lake. It's a 45-minute drive to the studio. So if I'm booking things in the studio, I make sure that I have like multiple things booked because it's not worth it to me to drive out there for one thing. And I always tell my clients and couples that come out here, I'm like, plan a day because Tacoma has so much to do that it's like if you're going to come out here for 45 minutes to meet with me or to like get your photos taken or something like that. I mean, plan a day. There's Wright Park if you have kids, which is just, I mean, it's got this amazing, like during the summer, they have this water feature thing that the kids can play in. And then there's the park. There's 6th Avenue. And then even right down below our studio is Matador. So if you are engaged and over 21, definitely go down there.
Date night.
And
That's
date
awesome.
night, margaritas. Their margaritas are huge. And their fajitas and their quesadillas are amazing.
So yeah, we try to at least make it fun for people.
Yeah, definitely. And like trying to kind of, I mean, it goes back to, we don't want, I mean, you're busy as a bride. You've got now all of this stuff you have to plan on top of the rest of your life that has to, I mean, your life doesn't stop because you're planning a wedding, which I swear people think that like everything revolves around your wedding when you start planning. And if you're anything like me, which most of our couples are, you are sitting here going, yeah, so I have this to-do list. Yeah, we're not going to do that or that or that just because I don't feel like taking time out of my day to plan something like what color the napkins are going to be. I mean, so it's like you're busy. So trying to make sure that basically I spent the last 6 months trying to make sure that everything was easier. And I am super thankful that our couples are usually very laid back.
That is true. We tend to attract a more laid back.
Yes.
Again, the non-traditional.
Because even I make mistakes still. I sent an email to a bride here in September that requested her timeline 2 weeks in advance. And she got it 5 days before the wedding. She's like, so it's only a week out, but here's my timeline anyway. And your email says 2 weeks. And I went, oh my gosh, I totally misscheduled this. So I had to go back and switch all of the workflows to make sure that email went out on time.
I do appreciate that you're so much more technologically savvy,
right?
than I am.
I helped her buy a computer last week.
I need help. Like, I'm serious. I need help.
Dropped everything and drove from Bonnie Lake to Puyallup to go to Best Buy so she could get her new computer.
I'm like, someone hold my hand, please.
I did.
Yes. You're a good partner.
I know.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for coming in today. I really appreciate it. Making the time.
We appreciate it as well.
Like I said, early on a Sunday, taking time out and before your Sweet 16 party. If people want to learn more about Wink Wedding Collective and what you guys do and who you are and what would you have them do and check out?
Definitely head to winkweddingco.com. And it's C-O, WINKWEDDINGSCO.com. There we go. I got it out. I had to think. I'm dyslexic on top of everything else. So, super fun. I'm like, oh, I get to spell out loud now. Definitely check us out on our website. It's really pretty. I worked really hard on it. I'm sure you'll love it. And we do have our business page on Facebook is Wink Wedding Co., but we tend to be more active on our individual Markie Jones Photography and Sashim Photography. So if you find us on Facebook under one of those names, you can usually get to know us individually. And like I said, we have a business page on Facebook. It's just not that active. You're better off to find our individual pages.
We're either shooting or editing. We're not spending a ton of time on Facebook.
Yeah.
And
then we do have an Instagram. It's at Wink Wedding Collective. No, at Wink Wedding Collective is on Facebook. At Wink Wedding Co. is on Instagram. So
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much. This has been another episode of Get to Know Your Wedding Pro. Check back next week for another wedding vendor interview. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
thanks.